Previously, the group decided to leave Yara and Enola at the Wyvern's Claw while they took a job from the job board to try to find a missing miner. They headed out of town towards the cave the miner had been working in. Travel was fine for most of them, but Zaya and Tornak both struggled. By the end of the day, they were both exhausted, which was a bit of an issue since Tornak was having trouble sleeping due to the experimental potion he'd drank the night before. Travel went slower than expected, so it was already dark by the time they arrived at their destination. Keelan listened outside the caves, trying to hear the bats they'd been warned about. He didn't hear them, but Tornak heard them in the distance and confirmed that they'd left the caves for the night. The group decided to head into the cave while the bats were gone, and it was as tight a squeeze as they'd been warned about, if not worse. Several of the group got stuck, and Taria ended up wedged into the tunnel so tightly that she had to drink a potion that Azru had gotten from the alchemist to get free. Mainly since the other option was dislocating her hip to try to get her out, and nobody was particularly eager to try that. Once everyone was free, they headed further into the caves. The first thing they saw was some ore, which Tornak recognized as copper, and various glowing mushrooms. Oz recognized the mushrooms as ones that cause blindness and poisoning if consumed, but could be refined into potions of greater restoration. From henceforth on, they shall be known as Let's Give Tornak a Chance to Not Die a Horrible Death from Exhaustion mushrooms. Thank you, DM. As they went around a corner, they found another tunnel that was filled with water. There was a lantern on the ground beside the tunnel, making it clear they were headed in the right direction. The group made their way through the tunnel, swimming through it. Most of them made it through without issue, but Sean got stuck under the water and almost drowned. Oz and Taria took a look at the tunnel to the south. Oz smelled blood, and they saw the carcasses of animals, so they wisely decided to leave that path be. The others took a look at the room to the north, which was full of stalactites and stalagmites. Keelan saw tracks showing that the miner had headed that way, and called back to the others. As Tornak and Keelan moved further into the room, one of these stalagmites revealed itself to be a roper and caught them by surprise. And then piercers began falling from the ceiling. The fight was very close in a few places, but nobody got killed. They continued onward, and they quickly came into a large cavern filled with gems. On the far side of it was the lost miner they'd been sent to find. He'd encountered the roper as well, and while he'd managed to get away from it, he couldn't get back out of the cavern without encountering it again. He told them that the animal carcasses they noticed to the south were where the bats lived. The group shared some water and rations with him while they rested up slightly. He offered them each a chance to pick away at some of the nodes in the walls to try to find something to take with them. Most of the group got a few pieces of gold, but Taria discovered 2 large chunks of mithril ore, while Keelan gathered up a fair bit of coal for alchemical purposes. Eventually, the group set out, giving Keelan enough time to gather up some of the remains of the roper that he thought might be useful in alchemy. The trip back out went much more smoothly than the trip in, and they made it out unscathed. As they stepped out into the moonlight, Sean noticed that it was probably just after midnight. And that is where we left off.